Joining us on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is a guy who we spoke to shortly after he was named as such. Rejoining us here now 8 days before the draft, the head coach of Notre Dame football, Marcus Freeman, on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you doing, Coach?
Rich, how are you, man? Thanks for having me.
There's big breaking news in the NFL right now. I'll tell you that. There's stuff going on. So let's just jump right into it here. How much does your phone ring off the hook about Kyle Hamilton these days?
You know what? It's unique. When you have a guy that's going to be a super high draft pick, I've never been in a situation, you start getting calls from, character coaches and not position coaches, not coordinators and head coaches. It's the higher ups that want to know about character and want to know about work ethic and all those different things. So it's been interesting, but I've gotten plenty of calls about a lot of these guys that will be potential draft picks.
But tell me the first time that I guess you had Kyle Hamilton in your meeting room, film room, or whatever. The first time you ever really started to coach him, and what that was like for you, because your elevation to head coach came from the defensive side of the football, Coach. Yeah,
it would have been last year during spring ball. And it's funny because I had heard about this guy that was a freak, and I was at Cincinnati the year before, and Mike Mickens, who's the corners coach here at Notre Dame, was on staff with us at Cincinnati for 2 years. And I remember Mickens called me and said, "Man, we have two freaks on our defense." And I'm like, "Who are they?" And he's like, "One guy's name is Jeremiah Owusu, who ended up being a second-round pick last year, and the other guy, he was like, is Kyle Hamilton." And so I was able to obviously see him in person, and he's a physically intimidating guy. He's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's tall and long, and you really wonder, like, this guy's a safety? He looks like a linebacker. And then you see him in practice, and he's running around making plays that not your normal safety will make. And I walked away probably somewhere early in practice, 1 or 2, and saying, "Okay, yeah, I get it, and we got a freak."
And boy, I mean, it's kind of difficult to mock it out with a draft, and I see he can go anywhere to number 2 overall to the Lions, maybe fall down to the Jets at number 10 overall. I mean, what are you telling teams? What would you tell a team that they get if they draft Kyle Hamilton?
You got an unbelievable football player. He's a guy that can do it all. That can run, he can hit, he can tackle, he's really intelligent. He takes care of his body. He loves the game of football, and he's an extremely great young man. And so it's the entire package in him. I know that there's been talk about his 40 time, and I didn't know what he would run, but I saw him in season and live with my own eyes, and nobody can outrun him on the field, and we used him in so many different ways. And I often say that sometimes I think I did him a disservice because he could do so many different things, and we utilize him in so many different ways that I never probably put him in a position to just say, "Hey, just continue to get better at this position, this part of football." But again, he was a Swiss Army knife, and we used him tremendously, and he did a great job for us.
And again, I know he's not a Notre Dame player, but you were Cincinnati's defensive coordinator and linebackers coach for a few seasons before joining the Notre Dame staff last year. I am absolutely transfixed by Sauce Gardner. And we had Luke Fickell on a few days ago, and he thought, like, the kid needed more seasoning, but they had to throw him in a game, and then he looked at all his coaches saying, "We're never taking him out." How special is he, Coach Freeman?
Yeah, Sauce he's a special one, and I remember the first time he came to Cincinnati. First of all, I remember recruiting him, and Coach Mickens, who's our corners coach here at Notre Dame, was the one recruiting him, and every time we talked to him, he didn't have a shirt on. Like, we'd FaceTime. I'm like, if we FaceTime this guy one more time and he didn't have a shirt on, we're going to drop it. I'm like, I don't know about this guy, Coach Mick. He comes, and he's not probably the highest rated corner that we had in that class. And he comes to fall camp, and I remember he walks around and was like, "Hey, my name's Sauce." And I remember saying in the first defensive unit meeting, I'm like, I will never call another man Sauce until you give me a reason to call you Sauce, right? And so we start, you see him making plays through fall camp, like, okay, this guy's pretty good, and you play him just a little bit during the start of the year. He's rotating in, and I'll never forget, it was the game versus UCF. And he picks the ball off, runs a pick six. The crowd goes crazy, and I run up to my sideline and said, "You are now Sauce for the rest of your career. You are officially Sauce." And from that moment, he was Sauce, known as Sauce to me. But he was a great, great football player.
You know, I got just a sense of meeting him just for, like 2 minutes, right? And I said this to Luke Fickell, is like he's self-confident, but he's also self-aware. He's not self-important, and that is a remarkable combination. And certainly, the self-confidence you need at that position, going to the next level. I love hearing stories like that. He's long too. I mean, he's tall and long. He is all of that.
Yeah,
Coach.
yeah, and he utilizes his length. You see some long guys that don't use their length. Sauce is a guy that, I often say, playing press man, like he is so much longer than even he looks because he uses that arm length that he has, and he uses to his advantage to not let guys off the line of scrimmage. And so he's not only long, but he plays long, and he's going to play this game for a long time.
Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame head football coach, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's the state of your team? Where are you? Spring ball? What's happening?
We just finished this morning. We had our spring game draft.
Okay.
I split the team into two. Well, basically what I did is I split the coaches into two teams, and I split the seniors into two teams, and basically we had a draft, and Jerome Bettis was the commissioner, and it was a pretty big deal. And you make it, you do it that way so it becomes competitive. They take a little bit of ownership in their team, and so we'll have practice 14 tomorrow, and then we'll finish with the spring game practice 15 in the stadium on Saturday. And so it's been a really, really pleasing spring. The identity of this team is continuing to form, and these guys love it. They love this game. They love to work, and it's been a fun team to coach.
Break down your quarterback situation for me.
Yeah,
right now. What do you got for me?
It's ongoing,
okay.
And I love that when you have a chance to have healthy competition and two guys that can battle it out, that respect each other, it makes everybody better. And those two have the utmost respect for each other, but also they compete and they're competitors. And so we're looking forward to Saturday. Then all of a sudden, Tyler Buckner, I had a quarterbacks meeting yesterday at 4:30 p.m.
Right.
And I get a call. They're done at probably 5:15. I get a call at 5:30 saying, "Hey, Buckner's in the training room. He kind of rolled his ankle." And I'm like, "You guys got to be playing a joke." And so I go downstairs, and he's got all this swelling in his ankle, and he was walking down the steps, and I think he just missed a step and kind of rolled his ankle. So he'll be out for the spring game, which is disappointing for him, and I know a lot of the fans. But he got 13 really good practice in, and the competition will continue. It's been really good.
Do you have Ron Paulus' kid there? Is that what you have?
Yeah, and Ron Paulus. Ron Paulus is on our staff too.
Come on.
Yeah.
I feel so old. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh! No kidding. All right. So has it sunk in? You're the head coach of Notre Dame football again. Your journey is remarkable. I mean, you come from Cincinnati. You're on the team for a year, and then all of a sudden you're the new head coach. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy story that, every day you remind yourself that it's a privilege to be in this position, and, don't take it for granted. Work tirelessly, and again, you just develop a deep love and passion for your players and the staff in this program. And so every day I want to make sure I'm doing whatever it takes to help serve our players and our staff and get them that much closer to their ultimate goals. And so it's been a great 3-4 months, and it's gone fast, but we got a lot of work to do.
Have you had any contact with Brian Kelly since he left?
No, not really. No, I mean, when it first happened, we did. But I know he's busy building his program down at LSU, and as we're doing here. And so I'm sure we'll connect when we get some downtime.
Did you know he had the dance moves like the ones that he did?
I didn't. He didn't show that here. But
he didn't do that, huh?
I haven't seen many clips of it, but I've seen a couple, and it sounds like he went down there and found a couple dance moves.
I had no idea he had those moves, and
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, we always say whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get these kids to say yes.
So am I going to see dance moves from you then? Any dance videos from you?
We've been doing a pretty good job in terms of recruiting without me doing those dance moves, and so if I have to do it, I will. But right now, we've been able to get a couple kids to say yes without doing those dance moves.
And how interesting it is that your first game as the head coach of Notre Dame football regular season is against your alma mater, is it not? Correct?
Yeah.
Who do I root for in that? Right? Who do I root for in that game? Who do I root for in that game as a Michigan Wolverine? What do I do? What do I do with Notre Dame and Ohio State playing each other? Do you have any suggestions for me?
Listen, I would never ask you to do something that you didn't have in your heart. I know the rivalry between Michigan and Ohio State goes deep.
It does.
You know.
So does Michigan and Notre Dame, though.
Yeah. We haven't played each other in a couple years, though.
Well, I mean, we got to work on that. I think Michigan's ready to do it, but you got to talk to Jack about that, I think.
Yeah.
You know, my first game that I ever covered for the Michigan newspaper, the Michigan Daily, was Bo Schembechler versus Lou Holtz.
Okay.
And Bo told his team they were going to kick it off to Rocket, and he ran it back for a touchdown. And then the second half opens, and apparently Bo in the locker room says, we're going to kick it to that damn Rocket, and you're going to put him on that damn turf. And they kicked it to him, and they didn't put him on the turf. I watched Rocket destroy Michigan's season in one day.
It's funny you say that because Ed Orgeron was up here last week and gave a similar story in terms of when he was at Miami, Florida, and they said the same thing. We're going to kick the Rocket Ismail. Well, the Rocket Ismail made him pay.
I know.
So that probably wasn't a good idea back then. I know.
And it kind of spoiled my taste for Notre Dame football on the spot. You know, I can still watch the game though. I don't know what I'm going to do, but you know what? Screw it. I'll root for you. You know how it works. You know how it works. You know, you've been on the show twice. I think you know you and I are getting along very well. And Ohio State just must go down and go down hard. But that'll be interesting for you, though, right? I mean, to see the scarlet and gray on the other side.
Well,
right?
I guess fortunate for me, I did it 2 years ago when I was at Cincinnati, and I think that's a blessing in disguise. Is that this game isn't going to be about me going back there because I just did it. I know what it's like to go back there and be in the visiting locker room, which was the first time I had been back since I played, or was a GA really. And so I experienced that. I got to experience life on the other side of the field, and now it's about going back there with this current team, and let's go play, you know, and you get 12 guaranteed opportunities to do this. And so we're fortunate that our first one's against an extremely talented opponent, and what better way to measure yourself by going against the best. And so we're going to be looking forward to that, but we've got a lot more work to do until we get to that point.
Okay, beat Ohio State. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I'll look forward to that day.
I appreciate that, Rich.
Let's have a conversation before then, though, and I appreciate the time here too.
Absolutely, anytime. Love being on your show, man.
Thank you so much for saying that. Right back at you for you being on it. Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame football, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good guy. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.